Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to the next lesson, lesson 10 of our Arabic grammar course. As you know, Alhamdulillah, we are currently in our module 3, and module 3 is about nominal sentence or Jumlatul Ismiya, or the sentence that begins with ism or noun. Okay, inshallah, our today's topic is how can we make our nominal sentence emphatic. If you want to put emphasis in your Jumlatul Ismiya, what are the different ways which are used in the Quran? Let's inshallah begin. So as you can see on the screen, that the first way you can make your Jumlatul Ismiya emphatic is that you change its order. What does it mean? The normal order, as you can see, is that you first have mubtada or subject, then khabar or predicate or information, and then you have muta'alliq bil khabar. What is muta'alliq bil khabar? Jar majroor phrase or special mudaf phrase. This is muta'alliq bil khabar. So this is our normal order. If you change this order, and how do you change the order? Normally you see this order being changed in two ways. First way is that instead of mubtada, you first bring muta'alliq bil khabar, and then you bring your mubtada, and it must be proper. I come to this point in a minute. And then khabar is missing. Okay, so in the start mutalik bil khabar, then mubtada, and then there's no khabar. Look at the example. Wa ilallahil masir. This waw is just mean and. Don't worry about the waw. Ilallahil masir. Ila is a preposition, and that's why Allahi is in jar status. So ila and Allahi together, ilallahi is a prepositional phrase or murakkab jari, and this will serve the purpose of or the label of muta'alliq bil khabar. So muta'alliq bil khabar has come in the start. What is next? Al masiru. Alif lam is telling you it is a ism and its status is rafa. How do you know? It has dhamma. Okay, it's a singular ism, and the status of singular ism is known by the last haraka, and last haraka is dhamma. So al masiru is a ism in rafa status, and ism in rafa status proper, it qualifies to be our one word mubtada. Okay, so mubtada is in the category of one word. So al masiru mean the return. Masir mean return. Al masir, the return. Towards Allah is the return. Remember, there's no is, am, or in Arabic. We put it according to the context of the sentence. We just insert this is, am, or are. So towards Allah is the return. As you can see, ilallah, ilah mean towards, Allah means Allah, al-masir mean the return. But look at translation, and towards Allah alone is the return. This exclusivity and emphasis, which you translate as alone, how did you get this one? Because there's no word here for alone. The reason is this one, because when you change the order, you bring muta'alliq bil khabar first and then mubtada, and as you can see, there's no khabar. So all the conditions are fulfilled. So that's why you get in the translation this word alone. Even though the word to word translation is and towards Allah is the return. But you get this emphatic translation. Why? Because of the change of order. Why? Because of the change of order. Because the normal order was mubtada should be in the beginning. Al masiru ilallah. This was the normal order. The return is towards Allah. But when you change the order, you make it emphatic and you make it with the meaning of exclusivity, which means that return is only towards Allah, which means our akhirah. Okay, so this was one way of changing the order. Another way of changing the order is that mubtada remains in its place, but then muta'alliq bil khabar comes first and khabar goes later. So basically muta'alliq bil khabar and khabar, they swap their position, because this was the normal order. First khabar and then muta'alliq, but you brought the muta'alliq first and then khabar. Look at the example. Wallahu, Allahu is your mubtada. Ala is what? Is a preposition. Because of ala, it's a prepositional phrase. Ala kulli shay'in is a prepositional phrase. Ala kulli, ala is jar and kulli is majroor. And secondly, one more thing interesting. Kulli and shayin, they are special mudaf and mudaf ilayh. How do I know? Kulli is one of those words which serve as special mudaf. And because of kulli, shayin is mudaf ilayh. So there are three words but two phrases. Ala and kulli, they are jar majroor, and kulli and shay'in, they are special mudaf and mudaf ilayh. And I mentioned in the start, and you already learned this one, that jar majroor and special mudaf phrase, they are mutaalliq bil khabar. That's why I put here mutaalliq bil khabar. So you got mubtada, after mubtada you got mutaalliq bil khabar, and then you got the khabar. Qadirun, qadirun means capable. It's a ism. How do I know? Because it has tanween. Qadirun, only ism has tanween. Okay. Now because of this tanween, and it is dhamma, we know it's a ism in rafa status. Now this was ism, Allahu was ism in rafa status. We make this one as mubtada. Qadirun is also ism in rafa status. We make it khabar. Why? Because Allahu was proper and mubtada mostly is proper. That's why Allahu became mubtada. Qadirun is also ism in rafa status. We make it khabar. Why? Because it is common and khabar is common. That's the main difference. Even though in terms of status, both mubtada and khabar, they are in rafa status. But in terms of their type, mubtada is proper, as you can see, Allahu, and khabar is common. Okay, but exceptions are always there, but that's the normal position. So now, what we are learning here is that ala kulli shayin should be at the end in normal order. What I mean by this, the normal order was Allahu qadirun, Allah mubtada, qadirun khabar, and then at the end ala kulli shayin. This was normal order. But what we did, we changed the normal order. We brought mutaalliq bil khabar first and we delayed the khabar till end. Because of this change, now look at translation. And Allah is completely or fully capable over everything. Now, in this one, there is no word for fully or completely. For example, Allah mean Allah, Allah mean upon, kulli mean every, shayin mean thing, qadir mean capable. There's no word for fully or completely. How did you get this completely? We got this one because of the change of the order. Okay, so pause the video, look at this one very carefully, and you can download the same presentation from the description as you always do, so you can read it for yourself. So this is first way of making your nominal sentence emphasis. And what is it? You change the order in these two ways. Clear? Let's move on. Another way of making jumlatul ismiya emphatic is you start with inna. Remember, we discussed this one, that when your sentence begins with inna or any word from the inna family, that's a nominal sentence. Okay. Now, because inna means indeed or certainly or for sure, they call in Arabic, it comes for izalatul ray. To remove any doubt from the mind of the listener or the reader, you use inna in the start. Okay. Now, look at the example first. Allahu ghafurun. Allah is mubtada, ghafurun is khabar, and it means Allah is forgiving. If you want to make it emphatic, use inna. How? Inna Allah ghafurun. Still, same sentence. What you did, you put inna in the start. And remember, whenever any word from the inna family comes, it does a specific job. What is that job? Because of this inna, the word Allah has gone into nasab status. That's a key point. Please don't lose sight of this point. Actual was Allahu, but when you put inna in the start, because of inna or any word of inna, the ism next to it goes into nasab status. That's why you have inna Allah, not inna Allahu. Okay. Now it means indeed Allah is forgiving. Clear? So that's what, when you use inna, your sentence became more emphatic. Now, this was the second method. I just want to introduce at this something which is even though a bit advanced, but inshallah you can handle it. What is it? As I just mentioned, that when you use inna, the ism next to it goes into nasab status. What if you don't want this to happen? It means if you want to use inna, but you still want to keep your ism in rafa status. Why? Because when ism is in rafa status, ism is more strong. So what is the way? Which means the problem is you want to use inna, but you do not want to bring your next ism into nasab status. Simple. You introduce extra ma after inna. Example, look at this one. Ana basharun. Ana means I. Basharun means human being. I am a human being. Again, there's no word for am. How do you put am? According to the context. Ana means I. Basharun means a human being. I am a human being. Clear? Now, let's make it emphatic by using inna. Inni. Now, remember this. Please pay attention. Inni. Whenever you read in the Quran, inni, you should know that inni actually two words. Inna and ni. Inna and ni together is called inni. So after inna, you got ni. And what is ni? Please memorize your pronoun charts from module 1. Ni means I, and it is the attached version of what? Ana. Ana means I. Nahnu means we. The attached form of ana is ni or sometimes ye. Okay, and the attached form of nahnu is na. So this inni is actually two words. What are those two words? Inna and ni. Ni is the ism because pronouns are ism in Arabic. Okay, so ni is the ism, and as you can see that ana has become what? Ana has become ni. Why? Because you put inna in the start. Inni basharun. Indeed, I am a human being. Even though your sentence has become emphatic when you use inna here, but what happened is because of inna, this ana has gone into its attached form, ni. If you want to keep ana as ana and you still want to use inna, look what you did. Inna, and then you put a ma. Innama. And then rest of the sentence is same as it was. Innama ana basharun. As you see now, ana, it remained ana. It did not become ni as it happened in this case. And now translation is, indeed I am not but a human being. It has become more emphatic. Why? Because of this extra ma structure. Okay, so this was just the extra point. The second way of emphasis is simply to start your ism with inna, and that's it, as you saw in this example. But if you want to use inna and you do not want the ism to go into nasab status, after inna you use a ma, and then rest of the sentence remains same, and your ism still remains in this rafa status. It becomes more emphatic way of saying something. Now, this ma has a specific name. What is that name? As you can see, ma al-kafa, ma of prevention. Why? Because this ma, it prevents the next ism, which was ana, to go into nasab status. That's why it's called ma of prevention or ma al-kafa. You don't need to memorize. I don't expect from you to be knowing all the fancy terms, but understand the concept. Clear? So this was second way of making your nominal sentence emphatic, and that's use of inna. Let's keep moving. Another way is that you put an independent pronoun in between mubtada and khabar. And in this way, your sentence becomes emphatic. Look at the example. Al-kafiruna zalimuna. The disbelievers are wrongdoers. Al-kafiruna is mubtada, zalimuna is khabar. Clear? Now look at the emphatic way. Al-kafiruna, and after that you inserted independent pronoun whom, and then zalimuna is still zalimuna, but you make your khabar proper. Normally khabar is common, but when you use this structure of inserting independent pronoun, you make the khabar proper. That's why zalimuna became a zalimuna. Okay, remember this point. And we discussed this one before as well, okay, in our last session. Al-kafiruna, the disbelievers, whom they are the wrongdoers. You see, if I say the disbelievers or wrongdoers, this was normal sentence. I make it emphatic by putting whom between mubtada and the khabar. And now it is the disbelievers, they are wrongdoers. So basically you mentioned disbelievers twice. The disbelievers and then whom is also referring to disbelievers. So by mentioning them twice, your sentence has become more emphatic. Okay. So what was this third way? You simply insert an independent pronoun in between mubtada and khabar. And secondly, you make your khabar in this case proper. And this, in this way, your sentence becomes emphatic. One more example. Allahu ghafurun. Allah is forgiving. Now look this one. Allahu huwal ghafur. Allah, he is the forgiving, or he is the most forgiving, you can say. You see, Allah was mubtada, ghafurun was khabar. In between them, we inserted independent pronoun huwa. Okay, and also what we did, ghafurun became al-ghafur. You make it proper. In this way, your sentence has become emphatic. And I mentioned here, remember, khabar changes from common to proper. Same thing what I explained before, that when you use this kind of emphatic structure of independent pronoun, you always make your khabar proper. Clear? One last thing about this one. How would you decide that, because independent pronoun chart has altogether 14. So which one to use? You decide this one according to this first mubtada. Al kafiruna, it was plural and it was third person, plural, masculine. So you use third person, plural, masculine, whom. Allahu, it was third person, masculine, singular, you use huwa. But I just mentioned this as a side point, because you don't need to be deciding that which one to use, because when you read the Quran, it's already used there. Okay, I just explained for you that how do you decide that which one to insert. It is decided by the mubtada. According to the nature of mubtada, you insert independent pronoun. Clear? But inshallah, when you analyze the Quranic text, it's already there. Okay, so this was third way. Let's keep moving. Just inshallah, inshallah, few more points on left on this one. So fourth way is that what you do, you use in and illa structure. What is in illa structure? Before your mubtada, you put in, and before your khabar, you put illa. How it works? Look at the example. Hadha zikrun. This is a reminder. Okay, now look at the emphatic way. Haza was mubtada. Before haza, we put in. In haza. Zikrun was khabar. Before zikrun, I put illa. In haza illa zikrun. This is nothing. This word, this is referring to Quran. That's why I put in the bracket, but it's not in the text. Okay, this is nothing but a reminder. You can see, if you say this is a reminder, it was normal sentence. But when you say this is nothing but a reminder, it's a more emphatic way. And how did you achieve this emphasis? You put in before mubtada and illa before the khabar, and no other change. Clear? Fifth way of putting emphasis is same like in and illa. Sometimes you use ma and illa, which means before mubtada you put ma, and before khabar you put illa. How does it work? Look at the example. Muhammadun Rasulun. Muhammad is a messenger. Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the mubtada here, and Rasulun is the khabar part. So before Muhammadun you use ma. Okay, and before the khabar Rasulun you use illa. Ma Muhammadun illa Rasul. This is verse in the Quran. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is nothing but a messenger. It is an emphatic way of saying that this incredible human being, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is the messenger of Allah. It's an emphatic way of saying this. Okay, so this was fifth way. Sixth and the last way is that you make Jumlat Ismiya emphatic by using lam of emphasis. What does it mean? Let's look. It's called lamut tawqid. Okay, look at the example. Wa zikrullahi akbar. Wa mean and. Zikrullahi, remembrance of Allah. Zikru Allahi. It's a mudaf ilay. Okay, remember your mubtada, your one word mubtada comes in 5 different forms. And one of those forms is mudaf mudaf ilayh. And this zikru and Allah is mudaf mudaf ilayh. How do I know? Allahi is in jar status and zikru is not having alif lam and it is light without tanween. So zikru qualifies to be mudaf, Allahi qualifies to be mudaf ilayh. Zikrullahi together is a mudaf mudaf ilayh phrase and it is serving as your mubtada. Zikrullahi, remembrance of Allah. Akbar is greater. Clear? Remembrance of Allah is greater. Now let's use the lam of tawqeed or lam of emphasis. Tawqeed in Arabic and English word is emphasis. Okay. So what you did? Wala zikrullahi akbar. What did you do? You use this lam and you added a lam with the mubtada zikr. Okay. So zikru was a normal word. You added a lam with zikru. Wala zikrullahi akbar. And now translation is, and surely the remembrance of Allah is greater. This surely is coming in the meaning. Why? Because you put this lam here. Okay. Now, one more example. Al insanu fi khusrin, a normal sentence. The human being or the mankind is in loss. Okay. Al insanu fi khusrin. The mankind is in loss. But that's not the verse in the Quran. You know the verse in the Quran. Innal insana lafi khusrin. You see, fi khusrin. What you did? You added a lam here with the fi. And because of this lam, you added the meaning of surely. And secondly, al insanu. What did you do? Al insanu was your mubtada part and fi khusrin was your khabar part. So in the mubtada part, you added inna, which we learned few minutes before. That when you add inna, sentence becomes emphatic. Al insanu became al insana. Why? Because of inna. There's a job of inna. Inna makes the ism next to it into nasab status, but it puts emphasis. So by adding inna, you make your mubtada part emphatic. And by adding this lam, you make your khabar part emphatic as well. And now, innal insana lafi khusrin. Indeed, mankind is surely in a loss or in loss. Okay. Now, as the student of Arabic language, what you learned is that this verse, this ayah, has double emphasis. Inna emphasis in the start and lam emphasis with the khabar. It has double emphasis. And obviously, you cannot appreciate this beauty if you don't know the language. Okay. So these are the 6 different ways in which you can make your Jumlatul Ismiya or nominal sentence emphatic. Please, 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 in the description of this video, don't forget to download the notes, the complete notes of this lecture. At the same time, this same presentation is also attached and link is given in the description. Download the presentation and notes, read them, watch the video, and inshallah, you will be clear on this topic. Okay. Until next, jazakumullahu khair, barakallahu fi, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.